Hey, greetings, friends. This is Dennis LaRue here, your executive and life coach with LDR, Leaders Develop Relationships. And tonight is Sunday night, and you know what that means. It's the hashtag steeltoesrequired quote of the week, and this is episode 86. Hi, Mom. Glad you're watching. This is number 86. Now, first off, I just want to say thank you. I enjoyed the break last week. I missed you, and I thank everybody that sent me messages wanting to know how I was doing. They're going to miss me and everything else. Appreciate that. Jose, what's going on, man? And so, Nathan, woo, there he is. And so, we're back this week, and we're ready to go. We are ready to go with our quote. So, I'm going to dive into the quote because this is powerful. This is a powerful quote that kicked me this week. And what I want to know is, first off, before I share the quote, if you're a first-time listener, if you have no idea what hashtag steeltoesrequired means, let me tell you real quick. It's simply this. I was in the Air Force, and we had to wear steel toe boots. And they protected our feet from our toes being stepped on. That's obvious. Well, I've also heard public speakers say, what I'm about to say is going to step on your toes, meaning it's going to poke you. What they're going to say is going to prod you. It's going to make you uncomfortable, but it's also going to put you in a position of growth. And then finally, it's also a way for you to put on your steel toes, get fired up, motivated, and inspired to overcome the obstacles that you face during the week. So that's steel toes in a nutshell. So if you're a first-time listener, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Just say first-time listener. And for those of you that catch the replay, whether it's on YouTube or right here on Facebook, let me know. Put hashtag replay and that you're a first-time listener. And for my regulars, I know you're out there, but let me know you're watching. Let me know, hashtag regular. Or if those of you lurking out there that watch this and don't post anything, for you, why don't you send me a private message? Let me know you're out there. I appreciate you. All right. Are you ready for the quote? Hey, Nellie, how are you? Here's the quote for this week, and it comes from Anne Frank. She said this. She said, "What I am looking for is not out there, it's in me." Anne Frank said again, "What I am looking for is not out there, it's in me." Let that sink in for a minute. You know, whenever, and I'm guilty of this, whenever I'm given something to look for, maybe it's information or a question is asked of me, my first thought is to look in the books behind me, check resources, and now in the modern age, it might be Google, Wikipedia, some type of search engine. Maybe it's my college studies and library that's available online. If you're old school, maybe you actually go to a public library and check those things out. Maybe you have resources, magazines, emails, word searches. We do all of those things. But very rarely have I found where I've stopped and thought, do I know the answer? Takes me back to high school. I can remember I was in my honors English class. And for those of you that went to high school with me, you might even remember this teacher. His name was Mr. Rosemary, one of the best teachers. I remember few teachers' names, but I remember Mr. Rosemary. Mr. Rosemary challenged me in ways I'd never been challenged before as a student, and I needed it. I was a lazy student. What's going on, Chuck? How are you, buddy? So, I remember being in his class, and I remember as we were getting ready for a test, as it was a multiple choice test, and his tests were not easy. They were puzzles, and I found them actually kind of fun, which is really weird. I don't normally find tests fun, but his test challenged me because it challenged my problem solution and puzzle mind. And I remember him saying this. He said, if you get stuck on an answer, go with your first thought. Go with the first answer that comes to mind. Why did he say that? Maybe it was because your first answer generally can be your most correct answer, whether that's tapping into your subconscious, if you did your studies, those things. But very rarely do we go within. Do we go within to those answers? We're looking without. And if we think long enough, and hard enough, after that initial answer, guess what happens? We start questioning ourselves. We start doubting ourselves. I saw this in my military career for promotion testing. Same thing. If I didn't know the answer right away, and if I stayed on it long enough, guess what happened? Oh man, I started overthinking it. Overthinking like crazy. But go with that initial answer. It starts within you. So those are just some stories that I thought of as I was thinking of this quote. But let's take this to a different level now. It's this. What are you looking for? What do you do in those instances where you have a question? You've got a area in your life that you need to solve and to work through. What do you do? Do you go look elsewhere? Do you go find experts? And I'm not saying you don't do that, but do you start within first? Do you start within what your mind says, what your heart says, what your intuition tells you? Because it's very important to consider that. Because everybody else has given you their experience, their knowledge, their wisdom, and you want to get that, but ultimately they're giving it from their perspective. What's your perspective? What's coming from within you? And then why do we not spend more time in this area? A couple of thoughts came to mind, and I'd love for you to comment why we failed to go within. Now, one of my mentors says this: if you fail to go within, you will go without. If you fail to go within, you will go without, because you're not tapping in to you. And it starts with this. You know why I go to the books first? Why I might go to others first? I'm going to use 3 L's. The first L is lazy. I'm lazy. Let's just say, I'm just going to say it right now, I get lazy. If somebody else can give me the answer I'm looking for, if I can go to somebody else rather than take the time to sit and determine the answer that's within me, I don't want to sit there very long. And so I'm being lazy. I'm letting others do my thinking for me. The other L could be a lack of trust. There was a season where I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my intuition. I didn't trust my judgment. And then when I trusted everybody else's, and guess what would happen? My first inclination was usually right. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I found that my first inclination was on the right path and on the right track. And so I didn't trust myself. So we lack trust. And then the other is, because of that lack of trust, it leads to a lack of self-confidence. We just don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe that we have the knowledge. We don't believe that we've done the study. We don't believe that what we think, say, or do matters. And so naturally, we're going to go to other people that we are more confident in. So laziness, lack of trust, and lack of self-confidence are reasons why we don't go within. But here's the positive side to that. I'm a person of faith. My faith tells me I was made in God's image. I don't know about you, but God doesn't make people that are without that kind of knowledge. He has poured knowledge in us. He has poured wisdom into us. He has poured into us the ability to recall and recollect the things that will help us grow and move forward. He's given us intuition and instinct. And the question I have for you is, do you trust yours? What do you need to step forward and trust yours? So here's some things that I have found helpful for me to work through this process, because now I do trust my intuition a whole lot more than I ever have in my past. And I'm not as lazy as I used to be in my thinking. And here's why. Here's some things I've done. The first thing I do is I ask myself the tough question. If you're not getting the answers and trusting your answers because you're not asking the right questions. So you've got to be willing to ask the question, to go within and pull that answer out. And then once you've asked those tough questions, journal. Here's one of my journals. I've got a bazillion journals I'm working on right now. Journal the answer. Journal the answers to those questions and work through them. Leave yourself a lot of room to work through every nuance of that answer that comes to your awareness. Sometimes you won't get the full answer in one setting. It may take multiple settings, chewing on that question to get the answer that you're looking for. But it starts from within, and you've got to pull it in. And as you pull out an answer, you know what it does? Is it reveals another aspect, another perspective, another area that it links up the question to all different forms of the wisdom and knowledge and experience you've gained over the years to uncover what it is you're looking for. And when you reflect, don't look at it as time wasted. It's time invested. It's time invested in you. It's time invested in your awareness. It is time invested in you to uncover the direction you're supposed to go, the potential you're to fulfill, the people you're to impact. That's investing in you. And then I mentioned journal. Take the time to write it down and work through it and then gnaw on it throughout the day. And then once after you've done all of that, once you've done those things, if you still need a different perspective, if you need somebody, if you're having a hard time with the questions, get a coach. Coaches are designed. Coaches are skilled in asking you the right questions, to ask you the tough questions, to help you dig deep. Go to those resources, but first do your work within first. Do your work within. And then as you start getting the answers, go to your resources. Use all the material out there. Go to somebody that can ask you those questions and challenge you, and you mastermind it together. Because when you go within, you're going to get the answers. You're going to get the answers. Because the answers are in there. They've just been untapped. You don't know what you don't know, but you don't know what you've absorbed. You don't know everything that your mind has picked up over the years. It's amazing the things that come up in my brain and in my memory. My sister and I were just talking the other day. We were talking about jingles that we remember from cereals and things like that. Alex and I, my son and I were talking about that too. Things that we remember that stick with us, that just popped out of nowhere. Things that we remember. You don't realize what you know until you ask the right question and go in and go after it. And so ultimately, what all of this boils down to, Anne Frank said, what I'm looking for is not out there. It is in me. And what that means is that belief, that, that lack of self-confidence I just talked about, that lack of trust that I just talked about, that laziness, it's a belief. It's a belief system. I want to show you this. You know what this is right here? This is the BS flag. This is the BS challenge flag. And I'm challenging your belief system right now. I'm challenging your belief system right now. What's stopping you from going within? Because it's there. I believe in you. Do you believe in you? I believe in you. I believe that there are questions you're asking that you're struggling to get answers with because you're not taking the time to invest. So I challenge you to invest this time this week and go within. Once you've gone within, I want you to reach out to me. Reach out to me and let's dig deeper to ask those questions to get those answers you're looking for. That's what I'm here for, here to serve you in that capacity. And with that, my friends, that brings the hashtag steeltoesrequired quote of the week to a wrap. And I always close with my favorite blessing. I borrowed it from It's a Wonderful Life and added just a little bit of my own flavor to it, and here it is. I pray the blessing of bread that you know no hunger. Pray the blessing of salt that your life would be flavorful and that you would be flavorful in other people's lives. Pray the blessing of wine that joy and prosperity would be yours and that the love of God would be your portion this day and forevermore. Friends, I want to thank you so much for joining me on Steel Toes. Jamie just posted the blog, so there's a blog that goes with this. The video will be embedded in it. You can also go to YouTube and catch the video replay again. You can watch it here. There's many ways that you can get it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this added value to you, please let me know, and take a moment, like, comment, and share with those in your networks so that they can be encouraged, so they can go within and they can grow as you're growing. All right, friends, have a great week. Blessings to you. Bye for now.